All right, welcome to Bonehead. Chad just burped and we missed it, and that's sad.
Yeah,
but
I've got
my shawl on here, my free UK blue one here. I'm cold. It's in the basement down here.
You need your shawl.
That's what I said. I need a shawl. I've never had one of those Snuggies you see on television. Have you guys ever had a Snuggie?
No, and I don't think I would ever like it. It's too. I couldn't.
Restrictive. That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I don't want to run my arms. I'm not much of a rope guy either. I have one, but I don't wear it often. And when I do, this really hasn't got nothing to do with anything. Welcome to Bonehead Weekly, and we're going to be talking about 1988. Gentlemen, why are we going back to the well one more time with movie years?
So with me, we have done several in the past, but for me,
82, 84, 89, 99, and 94.
And all those years were great. But in terms
of 89, by the way, I think we decided was almost
89 is what we decided. And then 99, I truly do think some of these books are right about it being some of the most influential cinema for the last 20 years.
Right. And then we were tasked with our partners, Good Movie Monday. Our partner there asked us, why don't you pick your favorite year in cinema? And I was originally going to pick one of those years, but I looked more closely and I realized that 1988, in terms of me, was probably one of the most important years for me in terms of cinema. And it may not be, when you look at it from an artistic standpoint, that it may not be the best year for cinema as the previous years we've covered. But as for me and for the other two here, as we go through this list, I think it will become more apparent that 1988 was a kick-ass year for cinema.
It was. And my parents were still together, if you're keeping up.
Oh, God.
Do you think it was the movies that year that drove them
apart? I tell you, we just talked about two movies that we're going to get to in a few minutes. And actually the reason why I just rambled them off my head, and the second one, you have to admit, is a bad sequel, but I enjoy it because it has that great Kenny Loggins song, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are going to go
going all the way.
Yeah. It was when I was growing up, I was fortunate enough sometimes to go to my grandmother lived in Merritt Island, my mom's mom, and we'd go to Cocoa Beach, and one of the great things was they had a Cinema 6 there right on in the mall where she worked, and I got to do so that summer, Chad, both of those movies at the same time, maybe in the same 2 or 3 days. It was just amazing. I have fond memories of 88, gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll be honest now, and if you've seen the way we do these shows before, I look up the master list and I see what they know, and we kind of try to stump them and things like that. That being said, going back and doing this list, there's a couple things I saw, and seeing their IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes ratings isn't too reassuring. But the plot outlines, I'm like, oh, I do need to see that. Well, how do I not know about this movie?
Well, everybody knows about Nightmare on Elm Street 4. All right, James, let's get started. We're boring the hell out of me. So, what's the first weekend? January?
Before we get into the movies, normally we do sometimes talk about things that happened in that year in terms of, history wise. Yeah. Apparently 1988 was a dud year. All I can really find is that the Iran-Contra affair happened.
Mm-hmm. Oliver North.
Photoshop shipped its first software. And on multiple lists, this is what it says. This is usually number one or number in the top 4. Floppy disk were a thing.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
So was my family. Keep going, Chad. Sorry.
I was trying. Oh my God. I was trying to look up a list of things that happened in 1988. And that was on multiple lists where it says,
was that when it went from true floppy to the floppy,
like 3 1/4?
Yeah. Is that why they bring it up?
No, it literally says floppy disk was a thing on 4 or 5 different sites.
I remember when I was
when Adele was born.
When I was 7 or 8, I learned some basic computer programming, and they had us use floppy disk, and they were still the 5 and the big ones. The actual floppy. So.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear the top 5 songs from 1988?
Yes, let's. Sure. Why not?
So Emotional, Whitney Houston.
I do get so emotional.
Got My Mind Set on You, George Harrison.
Got my mind set on
you. The Way You Make Me Feel, Michael Jackson.
The Way You Make Me Feel.
A song that I legitimately cannot stand Need You Tonight by NXS.
Why?
I just can't stand it. It's like, it's one of those drills in my ear. Every time I hear it, I'm like, I need you tonight. I'm like, I just can't.
Really? I like NXS. It's not one of my favorite songs by NXS, but that one I did not know that about you.
And Chad, do you find it excessive?
And the fact that Never Gonna Give You Up is a number 8 by Rick Astley, that should be in that place. That should not be, in NXS should not be that high.
No, I agree with you that Rick, just for the cultural
well, we're looking retroactively, right?
Yeah, we are. So
I mean,
number 5?
Number 5 was could have been by Tiffany. And I'm gonna, I don't
remember that one.
Screw this one. I'm gonna talk about the other 5. Let's go top 10. Seasons Changed by Expose.
Don't remember it.
Father Figure by George Michael is number 7. Never Gonna Give You Up.
Teacher Preacher.
Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Astley. Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. And Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car by Billy Ocean.
Billy Ocean should have been number 1.
Dude, NXS, Expose, and Tiffany should not have been in the top 6.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I like NXS, but that particular song by NXS.
And remember, we've got to do this historically. Tiffany was huge.
Hey Joe, what was the most popular book from 1988?
The most popular book from 1988 was it Misery?
No.
What?
You're on the right author.
I know it was.
Misery was number 4. Tommy Knockers.
What
enjoyed that book. I it's just batshit nuts.
And by the way, Joe, Patriot Games and Kaleidoscope by Danielle Steele beat Misery.
I was gonna say, so what were the top 5? So you said
Tommy Knockers, Patriot Games by Tom Clancy, Kaleidoscope by Danielle Steele, Misery by Stephen King, and Leaving Home by Garrison Keillor.
Oh well,
no one ever heard of Garrison Keillor.
All authors I've heard of. So,
and real quick, the top. I'm just going to do a straight barrel through top 10 TV shows. Cosby Show, A Different World, Cheers, The Golden Girls, R.I.P. Betty, Growing Pains, Who's the Boss, pissing me off that it's this low on the list. Number 7 is Night Court, 60 Minutes, Murder, She Wrote, and number 10, Alf.
Oh yeah, but I'm a little shocked that Murder, She Wrote's number 8 or 9. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah,
but you got to think Murder, She Wrote, it was huge, but it never got huge. It was near it was always high. It was never a big rating success.
I've got a question, by the way, and I mean this somewhat honestly.
Fuck Angela Lansbury.
No, sir.
I would. Poor man's Betty White.
I would say, do you think Angela Lansbury is the new Betty White?
What?
Do you think Angela Lansbury is going to become the new Betty White? I mean, she's not young, and
she's a different kind of person. She's the new queen. Yeah.
She did not have Betty White's personality. I'm sorry. I do like it.
She also didn't have Betty White's eyes, or is it Betty Davis's? Which one didn't she have?
Well, she can get them now. They're dig
her ass up. All right.
Let's get this going.
First weekend, James.
According to the numbers, on January 1st, one film was released, and that film, gentlemen, was The Deceivers. The Deceivers was directed by guest of the show, Nicholas Meyer, and starred Pierce Brosnan.
I've never seen it.
It is a fact-based account of a secret society of murderers and the man who exposed them in British India in 1825. So probably the only name that most people would recognize that is in it is Pierce Brosnan. He was the main star. Has a lot of talent from India as well. So but Nicholas Meyer directed it, and like I said, it was the first one when I was prepping for this list. I said, "Oh, I need to see that." Yeah. So there you go.
Okay. All right. What's the next weekend?
Any comments there? Okay, we'll move on.
Let's keep moving.
Roll on, because I don't want this to be 3 hours.
January 8th. Well, if you would stop interrupting. January 8th saw nothing released.
Really?
January 15th saw the following films released. I'll do them from lowest to highest. Rent-A-Cop.
With Burt Reynolds.
I love Rent-A-Cop.
I liked it as a kid. How bad is it now?
It's terrible.
The guy, so he has a biker helmet and that Uzi. The assassin dude.
And you
Liza
have to
Minnelli.
believe that, and you have to believe that Liza Minnelli is a high-end call girl.
I believe Burt Reynolds was a high-end call girl before I would believe Liza Minnelli.
But I will say this, Burt Reynolds, of course, anything Burt Reynolds, he's entertaining in Rent-A-Cop. I actually saw this last year, believe it or not.
I remember the guy. Like I said, I remember the assassin with the motorcycle helmet, right? Chad, black and all black outfit and the Uzi kind of silencer on it. Yep. Go James.
Rent-A-Cop was beat out by Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
We have met a lot of the cast. Tom Matthews, a wonderful guy. Clue Gallagher was not in that, but I have met him. Keep going. He was in the other one. Are you just going
to turn this into people that you've met?
Yeah, and mom and dad are still together. Go James. Sorry. Only makes me laugh.
Well, that Return of the Living Dead in turn was beat out by the Couch Strip.
That one, Walter Matthau and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
That is not an overly good movie.
Yeah, no, that was one of those films when you look at it, it has Dan Aykroyd, Walter Matthau, Charles Grodin, for God's sakes, and Mary Gross, who at the time was, and Mickey Jones. Mickey Jones is one of those great character actors that doesn't get a lot of credit in terms of his work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with Joe. It just never, as great as the cast it should be, it kind of fell flat in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the number one movie, the movie that was released this weekend that would go on to gross the highest amount of the films released this weekend, I refer to, of course, the PG-13 rated For Keeps ?
Oh, is that with Robert Downey Jr. and Molly Ringwald?
That would indeed be with those people.
Yeah, it's completely forgettable. Keep going, James.
Does it have Robert Downey Jr. in it?
I thought it had Robert Downey Jr. Is it not Robert Downey Jr. For Keeps?
No, it's Randall Battenkoff, Molly Ringwald, Kenneth Mars, and of course your favorite actor from the 1980s and early 90s, Pauly Shore.
Then I was wrong. I still don't want to see it.
Yeah, no. Am I one of the only people who out of the 1980s did not care for Molly Ringwald? I was more of an Ali Sheedy person.
No, I think she's great as long as she's in a John Hughes film.
You didn't like her in Man's Best Friend, Joe? How dare you?
Ali Sheedy?
Oh, is that no?
I'm
Molly
talking
Ringwald.
about Molly Ringwald.
Isn't Molly Ringwald in Man's Best Friend, or is that Ali Sheedy?
That's Ali Sheedy. Molly Ringwald got topless in another movie. You don't even know your crush's filmography. I was going to meet Ali Sheedy, and they can't get at the Comic-Con last year. Thanks for bringing it up. Mom and Dad are still together, though. I've got to stop. I know it's only funny to me. All right, keep going.
Oh, real quick. I just got to mention this real quick. You know who else is in For Keeps?
Who?
The lesser talked about Renee Estevez.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Is the internet better now, Chad?
Well, you're very glitchy.
You're very pixelated.
But
or
at
are
least
you just sharper now?
As of right now, it's not cutting you out. Going.
How'd that go again? All right. Then it did pause.
And that was the week that was January 15th.
All right. So
January 22nd.
Hold on. Let me see if I hold on. Pause. Let me see if I can fix the internet. I'll be right back.
Yep.
We're back, and we have the combination to the air shield.
So that was the week that was January 15th. We are now to January 22nd.
Now, who did you say directed from the hip?
For Keeps was directed by John Avildsen.
Yeah, John
Avildsen. Yeah, from Rocky and Karate Kid and The Power of One, which I actually enjoy.
According to January 22nd, according to the lowest numbers belong to The Telephone.
I'm going to guess that's a horror film.
That was followed by Promised Land, which was followed by Five Corners, but all of them fell under the mighty presence of Braddock, Missing in Action 3.
And by the way, I was wrong. The Telephone is not a horror film, guys.
Is that with James Earl Jones?
No, it's Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh.
A crazy out of work actress, Vashita Blue, spends all of her time in her small apartment with her pet owl and her telephone, which she uses to try and solve all of her problems with life. Gentlemen, who would you like to guess directed The Telephone?
I don't know.
Rip fucking Torn.
Oh. But now I want to see the
now
telephone.
we have to see the telephone.
Yeah, we do, because the owl.
Okay, so we've got Shakma and the telephone,
Yeah.
and whatever it was that
I didn't know
Nick
Rip
Garris
Torn.
recommended today that I said sound like Skidoo, and he liked it.
Who did?
Yeah,
Mick Garris posted some movie he watched. Not the Good Christian. I'm blanking on.
Yeah. He did. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, now I've got to see it because it's Ringo Starr and.
I thought we should briefly mention The Telephone, since it is the only film Rip Torn directed.
Chad, off the top of your head, how many films did Rip Torn and Rip Taylor make together?
Zero.
Which is a travesty.
What's the next fucking movie?
That was it for January 22nd. But if we jump to January 29th, we only get one. Let me make sure for my notes. Yes, one release January 29th. And it was a holdover from 1986 in England, and was also the last appearance of, I just lost my notes. No, was the last appearance of Grand Moff Tarkin.
Peter Cushing.
Film. Yeah. Peter Cushing, it was his last screen performance. It was originally recorded in 1985. It is Biggles. Is that what it was released of in the US? In England, it was released as Biggles Adventure in Time. And if you're looking it up, let me save you the effort. A daring British World War I fighter pilot, James Bigglesworth, and a 1980s low-level business executive, Jim Ferguson, discover that they can travel through time to each other's eras because they're time twins, Joe. They're time twins, and they can jump back and forth.
I'm just a regular twin.
You ate the other one?
I ate the other one. Bo Lewis tried to take the last pork chop. That's an inside joke between James and I.
Actually, it's a malignant situation, folks. Just never look directly behind Joe.
Only I am not as flexible as that person.
Actually, the sad part is Joe's actually the evil one.
Well, that's true.
Oh,
next.
Biggles. Anybody want to talk about Biggles? Okay.
No.
February 5th. Let me make sure I don't have any more notes. We get a bunch of movies, including Apprentice to Murder.
Oh.
But also we get The Unbearable. Wait, let me do them in order. Gila e Gila. That was an international film that was an important. But after that, The Unbearable Lightness of Being.
Mm-hmm.
That was beat out by She's Having a Baby.
Hey, she's having a baby.
And that was beat
she's
out.
having a baby.
That was beat out. Evidently, most people felt like Chad because The Serpent and the Rainbow beat that out.
As it should have.
Now let's talk about what's wrong with. Okay, first of all, it's a John Hughes film. Why don't you like She's Having a Baby?
I just never could. I haven't watched it. I have not watched it as an adult. As a kid and a teenager,
you didn't have any common with it.
I never had the humor. No, and I think I remember Alec Baldwin being in it, and kind of being the sleazy friend, but it just
that's accurate.
He had not quite found his comedy niche at that point in time.
No, he's not funny in it.
No.
I watched it last year or 2 years ago. I hadn't seen it I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I kind of liked it as a kid, but I didn't particularly get it. It's probably a little too on the nose of John Hughes's actual experience in life.
Yeah.
Because he was an ad man. He did kind of marry his high school or college sweetheart, those kinds of things. He did have kids young. So, but I liked parts of it. It's probably just a little too on the nose. The Serpent and the Rainbow, I didn't realize was number one. I'm just going to go out and say it. It's not Wes Craven's best film, but be damned if it ain't in the top three.
Yeah, and it's creepy. Yeah.
He got a performance out of Bill Pullman. There's a few things that fall apart in the third act because it's loosely based on a true story. And some of these chemicals are true that they did use some from the Haitians, the Haitians did use to try to zombify these people. And when we talk about zombie, we're not talking about what we now know as a zombie. And we could do a whole episode on this, gentlemen, how the actual zombie term has been corrupted, right?
Yeah,
zombies were
undead.
not meant to be
ghouls.
the walking undead. I mean, it was those people, and it all dealt with voodoo and vaudou and using chemicals to zombify people, knock them out.
The voodoo that you do so well.
So it's loosely based on a true story. Has the best, it and Kill Bill have the best, Kill Bill Part 2 have the best buried alive scene.
Exactly. And I want to say, like, as a kid, 8-year-old, 9-year-old me watching this movie terrified the shit out of me. It really did. I was one of those movies I couldn't watch until I was a little bit older because it just frightened the hell out of me. So it did.
Wes Craven's 3 best films, Chad.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Man, I know what
they are. I think I know. For me, I know.
It's Nightmare on Elm Street, Serpent and a Rainbow. Scream has to be on there, but it's not my favorite. I want to, it's just, yeah.
I think it's Scream.
I would say New Nightmare. Yeah.
And no, I rewatched New Nightmare the other day, and it's a precursor to Scream, but it's not very good.
Oh, is it not? Because
not to me. It's almost 2 hours long. Okay. I watched it wrapping presents right before. I'm the only human being that was watching New Nightmare wrapping presents for Christmas. Because I hadn't seen it in so long, and I just didn't think it held up. But I may be wrong.
If any of our listeners were yelling at the screen, why isn't Chad saying Scream? Why isn't Chad saying Scream? It's just because I did not have.
I've got to replace Scream as well, Chad, but I would replace it with Last House on the Left, because Last House on the Left, once you see
that is good. It is good.
Yeah. I mean, Scream's good. Scream's a commentary on a lot of different things, but Last House on the Left is one of the most visceral films you can see. Anyway.
Yeah.
Are we ready for February 12th?
Oh, we sure are.
Oh, well, good news, folks, because we're going to start with Justine Bateman in Satisfaction.
I have seen parts of that before, but Justine Bateman is Jason Bateman's sister, and some of our audience probably didn't even know that. She was in Family Ties, right?
Yeah.
And
by the way,
she was famous before him.
Yeah. Satisfaction also stars somebody, you'll have to look him up. Nobody's ever heard of this guy since then. Liam Neeson, I believe his name was. So I mean, he's a pretty good actor in it. Too bad he never went on to do anything else.
And I love how you left out Julia Roberts.
No, Liam, I think it is Neeson. It's the only.
And the lesser known, who I still love to this day, and I hate that she hasn't been in a bunch of stuff, Trina Alvarado, from the Frighteners.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
Satisfaction, though, is about a all-girl band that struggles with men and drugs, and it's a comedy because it's the 1980s.
I have the same problems, the same two problems.
Well, there you go. So that was the lowest earning that weekend, beat out slightly by School Days.
Okay.
That's not the Brendan Fraser's film, is it?
Maybe.
School Days? Yes, I believe it is.
Where he's Jewish and anyway.
Wait, no, I'll take that back. It is not that one. It is not.
Okay. Is it Spike Lee one?
Yes, it is a Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Now that was beat out in turn by, of course, Action Jackson.
I love Action Jackson
with Craig T. Nelson as villain, directed by Craig R. Baxley.
Yeah, I watched that again. Watched it last year.
Is it
not? Yeah, is it not? If it is not one of the funnest movies from the 80s.
Really? I don't think I've ever actually seen it. We've had this conversation. I've never actually watched it.
It is. It's just it's a cheesy 80s action film, but the comedy and the sheer ballsiness of Carl Weathers in that film role, it makes it a B movie action film, but a little elevated. I mean,
yeah,
I love it.
I need to watch it. I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen it.
I can't believe you've never seen Action Jackson.
I've made jokes about it. I mean, Sharon Stone's in it, but I've never actually watched it.
Also, what's her name? Vanity's in it.
All right.
And the amazing Bill Duke.
Are you ready for the number one movie of this week, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just name off some cast and see if any of y'all can guess it.
Okay.
Andrew Robinson,
Yeah.
known as Plain Simple Garrick. Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Kirstie Alley. Tom Berenger. And we lost him. We lost him recently. Sidney Poitier.
Shoot to Kill.
Shoot to Kill was number one.
Way to
Directed
thrill.
by Roger Spottiswoode.
I did not know that. But yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time and I don't remember a damn thing about it. Tom Berenger's the star.
I don't know if I've ever seen this movie. And it hasn't. Did you say Richard Mazer?
I did not say Richard Mazer.
You were just thinking about Dick Maters.
Any movie, you better from here on out for the rest of this podcast, all the 2 episodes we have left.
Jesus, who knew contract negotiations had turned south? I didn't know it was that bad.
If
all
Richard
he
Mazer
wanted was chewing gum.
Richard Mazer gets mentioned.
Oh, Roger Spottiswoode, still alive, by the way. Roger Spottiswoode. Yeah.
All right, Shoot to Kill.
What's next?
Shoot to Kill. So Shoot to Kill was number one the week of February 12th. We again, let me make sure I don't have any notes. Now, February 19th, no major movies were released. They all fell to the might of Shoot to Kill. No, but February 26th, don't worry, it comes back with a bang.
Rent-A-Cop.
Starting at the bottom, if anybody wants to chime in on this, Taffin. Anybody?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
It did not do well.
Yeah.
That was beat out by A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon.
Yeah.
Anybody? I don't know anything about it.
I've heard of it. I didn't get to watch it.
But
it was rated
above it is a film that we know, and most of our listeners will know because it's been done live on television since. It was remade as another film, and I'm referring to, of course, Hairspray.
Yeah. And that was the number one movie?
No. Hairspray was beat out by The Amish. No, I'm kidding. It was beat out by Frantic. But
I thought you were going to say Witness. By the way, have you guys ever seen Frantic with Harrison Ford?
No, like Harrison Ford, though, I'm getting Frantic. It's immortalized in a Bare Naked Ladies lyric.
I know. Well, let's not go that far. But I watched it as a kid and didn't care for it. I wonder if I'd like it now.
No, I should have. I accidentally skipped the movie so Frantic was number one, but second to Frantic was a movie that's actually probably better known today, which is probably a commentary in of itself. That would, of course, be Bloodsport.
So wait, Hairspray finished third behind Bloodsport?
Yes. I mean, this is in the entire run. It's the data that I have. So how much it made? Hairspray, not adjusted for inflation or anything, only made $9,400,000 during.
That's just $8 million more than what John Waters films normally made.
Yeah. No, I mean it was, and by the way, it is what he is known for today. Like if you mention John Waters to my children, they'll go, "Oh, Hairspray."
Yeah.
For some reason, they don't bring up Divine.
Now, I like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I didn't see Bloodsport till later on. But Hairspray was one of those movies I actually legitimately loved as a kid. I still do.
I didn't get
really?
It. No, I didn't get it. I didn't find it funny and I didn't get it. And I haven't watched it since I was a kid. So I wonder if I'd enjoy it now or not.
You might have. And it's just, so I obviously had varying tastes from several people in my household. And this was one of those ones that I could connect with that I actually enjoyed, but it was usually Hairspray, Dirty Dancing, Footloose. And I'm like, oh, Hairspray is just odd enough that I can get into it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, and it actually started me into John Waters. And boy, was I shocked when what I found out he made other than Hairspray.
Boy, Hairspray was the first PG one.
Yeah.
And it was not it's his hit, but it's not a hit.
Yeah, Serial Mom's still his best film.
I agree. He does too.
Mm-hmm.
He said it before in interviews that Serial Mom's his best movie.
And no, I have never seen Frantic. I can't. It's one of those blips in my movie knowledge. I didn't know Roman Polanski directed Frantic.
Yeah, so. I wonder if I'd like it now. I don't think I got it or connect. It's a very adult film, and I don't mean like with sex. It's just an adult themed film, and I probably watched it at 10, 12 years old. So.
and we've all seen Bloodsport, I'm assuming.
I actually never have seen all of Bloodsport. I've only seen scenes from it. I haven't. I'm sorry.
God.
Oh yeah.
I've never watched Bloodsport. I've never watched what's the other? I've only seen scenes from Cyborg. I did not care for the Jean-Claude Van Dammes.
You wasted your time on that Citizen Kane bull crap, but you won't watch Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Is Bloodsport on HBO Max or one of them there services? I'll watch it.
I have no idea. And I honestly, I don't think I could watch it now. I've watched it a few years ago and I just was not.
What's the one where he's in prison?
Death Warrant.
Okay. I tried watching that as a kid and couldn't get into it. I remember trying because I remember it was like,
that was my favorite. That was my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme film up until Time Cop. So yeah, it was And by the way, Bloodsport is, if the reason to watch Bloodsport is not Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's Bolo Young, plain and simple. Bolo Young was, again, he's one of those forgotten action stars from the 80s and early 90s that just never got his due. So but no, Bloodsport, by the way, it's a terrible film.
It makes money. It makes money.
But when you have Donald Gibb as his sidekick, and then also Forrest Whitaker in an early role, it's Forrest Whitaker, who's one of the most acclaimed actors of our time, in Bloodsport. It's just,
I mean, I'm pretty sure that some art house people are sitting around going, "He did a Star War." So,
and it has one of the. And we'll move on, but I just got to mention this. So the whole thing is he's participating in this thing called the Kumite. And one of the montages of all the different, and it's all these different martial artists coming from various styles fighting to see who wins it. It's loosely, and I mean loosely, based on the life of Frank Dukes, mostly because it's completely made up. Mm-hmm. Matter
of fact, Frank Dukes doesn't exist.
But it's corny when the montage of all the people fighting, they're playing a song that goes Kumite, Kumite, Kumite.
Not at all like those classy Ninja Turtle movies.
Yeah.
TURTLE power.
I had that soundtrack. I can't judge.
I did too.
By the way, just FYI, I don't know exactly why, but according to the numbers, the actual first release date of a film was actually on Sunday, February 28th. So it's on the list. That would be Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. But it was only in theaters briefly and only made $291,000. But doing it in order, I wanted to make sure I did correct.
All right. Well, what's next?
Yeah, what's next?
There was a Tuesday release, gentlemen, on March 1st. And it's probably like, I don't know, the 17th best James Wood movie. That's Cop. Anybody Cop? Anybody want to talk about the obsessive compulsive cop?
I can't kind of. I always get it in a movie he did with Brian Dennehy called Bestseller confused because the posters look similar, the boxes, video boxes. Gentlemen, know what I'm talking about?
The Cop poster is literally James Wood's face and a gun right here.
Yeah.
And so every 80s action film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the tagline was when a cop cares too much, how far is too far?
That far.
But it stars Charles Durning, James Woods, Leslie Ann Warren, and Charles Hayde. So there you go. If you're interested, I'd actually like to see it because I haven't seen it.
I'll watch anything with Leslie Ann Warren in it.
I'll watch anything with Charles Durning.
Well, there we go. We'll add that. So it's now Shakma, whatever it was a minute ago.
The telephone.
And now Cop. Okay, so March 4th is the next actual Friday release date. There were 2 comedies and a horror film released. And I'm sorry. There were some other films released too. Okay, so the ones that
did not over at a book.
Like I said, there were some that were missing, so I had to go back and
fill in the list. How did you know where they were missing?
I pull up a list of every film released in 1988, and I compare it to the list that's published. Okay. The 2 that were missing that did not necessarily do well, but are interesting to me. House on Carroll Street. If anybody wants to talk about that,
I've seen the poster, but I don't remember watching it.
And the other one is, and this one you may know, Joe, because it's got a great cast. It was originally made in 1987. For some reason, got a release in 1988, and they released it on March 4th. That would be Pass the Ammo. Do you know anything about Pass the Ammo? Let me tell you this.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you the cast. A heist of a corrupt preacher goes wrong. Directed by writers Joel and Neil Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Bill Paxton, Linda Kozlowski, Tim Curry, Annie Potts, David Berkeley, Glenn Withrow, a bunch of other people. So I have not seen this, but I now want to see it.
Oh my God. Yeah. I want to see this now too.
Pass the Ammo, folks. But anyway, those are the two that did not necessarily light up the box office. The ones that have a high ranking that came out on March 4th would be, in order, Prison, which was a horror film.
Yeah, that's directed by Rennie Harlan.
It did not do well. I mean, It was not. It did better than those other two.
If I remember right, it's terrible.
I've never seen it.
And then two comedies were competing for the top spot. The one that lost out is Switching Channels.
Oh.
Dad, you want to talk about Switching Channels?
We talked about Switching Channels on here before.
I know.
Reynolds was lighting it up that year, wasn't he?
God, I love
Switching Channels in 3 months.
I can't tell you how many times I've actually watched Switching Channels. I just love the film, especially Joe. What's it a rip
well,
off
I
of?
mean, His Girl Friday, but it's actually the front page. The play is
Right.
called The Front Page. It's been made a dozen times. But there is an actual movie, a couple of them called The Front Page, but I prefer His Girl Friday.
Girl Friday, yeah, and here's Girls
Grant.
Friday. It's the same style of delivery. The lines just go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
boom.
the only
Same thing
difference
with this.
is
It's not Burt Reynolds
you don't
or Christopher Reeve or Ned Beatty.
Yep.
Do you know what beat out? And this is a movie I need to go back and watch now. Do you know
I am
what
excited
beat it
though
out?
to hear that Switching Channel was actually number 2.
It was
of that.
what came out that weekend. Now I don't know what it was when it came out, but it went on for all the movies released. It was the one that beat it, and only by about $600,000. Is the best film to ever star Gordon Jump, Dave Thomas, Randy Quaid, and Richard Pryor. I'm talking about Moving.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Switching Channels is better than Moving. I
don't
can't believe
think-
Moving was number 1.
Yeah,
Richard Pryor.
it may not have been number 1 at the box office overall, but of the movies released that weekend,
I didn't even
it's
think
the one that
Moving
went
was one of his lesser movies. I didn't even think it was that funny when I was a kid.
It only made $10,900,000, Chad. You're not far off the mark. It just happened to be the movies released that weekend. It went on to make the most.
Man, no, Switching Channels by far best film you just mentioned for that week.
All right, we ready for March 11th?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh,
I'm gonna think fondly of Switching Channels, and now I want to watch Switching Channels again.
The lowest would be what I assume is about Chad's digestive issues. When the Wind Blows. Okay, nothing.
No.
Okay, that was.
I ain't going to hear no story about no groundhog.
And by the way, so
Turtle in
far,
a hole. Sorry,
we're only a quarter of the way through this. I just want to point out my case is already proven. 1988, best year for movies ever.
Right, great job, Chad. Great job. That was beat out by the action film Off Limits, which was in turn beat out by Vice Versa.
Oh my God!
Now hold on.
Yeah, we got to talk about
starting to
Vice
get to
Versa.
something that we're going to see several times, because there's another movie that's going to be nominated for an Oscar later that has the same fucking plot. Chad, what's the plot?
Wait, you know, Dream a Little Dream? Wait, what are we talking about?
No, Dream a Little Fucking Dream wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
the same plot as the one we're going to talk about later. Well,
Okay.
close.
We'll get
All
to
right,
that.
so Vice Versa had Judge Reinhold.
Yes.
I don't know.
And the most savage of all Freds.
Fred Savage, and they are a father and son who switch bodies. It's the same thing. What's the Freaky Friday?
Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday is the original one, right? It's the Disney picture.
Yeah, but I mean, the film has Swoozie Kurtz. It has Richard Kind. It's not, and Jane Kazmierski. I never can say her name, but the mom from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Did I forget to say like father, like son? Did we forget to mention that one?
Yeah. See, I wonder if they all come out this year.
We'll find out.
Like when we were talking about Leviathan, Deep Star 6, and The Abyss.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And by the way, I now got to see Off Limits because it has Willem Dafoe, Gregory Hines, Fred Ward, David Allen Greer, and Keith David, not to mention Raymond O'Connor.
Oh.
I've got to. It is directed by Christopher Crowe.
No idea.
Oh, really? Let me pull. It doesn't matter. I was going to pull up his movieography. He wrote Last of the Mohicans, if that tells you anything.
I did too.
And The Untouchables.
I did that. The David Mamet Untouchables? Anyway.
Yes. No, Francis Ford Coppola. No, forget that. Nope. This is the TV show that I love.
I was about to say, bud, I'm pretty sure that was David Mamet that wrote The Untouchables, directed by De Palma.
I'm sorry.
That's
idiot.
Okay. Yeah,
move on.
We all do heroin. James, next week.
All right. No. We haven't finished this week because I haven't got to number one, which was no.
I want to put
when do we get to vibes?
Sorry. Off Limits is a quasi action film. Willem Dafoe holding a gun on the movie poster.
Well, yeah, he didn't get the part in Cop.
James, go. Sorry.
I wanted to. This is the first movie that actually kind of made a breakout at the box office. We've been looking at $10 to $20 million range returns. This movie, the movie that was made the most this weekend, would go on to make almost $92 million, which isn't bad for 1988.
Oh my goodness!
But it's one that I don't hear about a lot. It was written by Dick Wolf and Larry Brody, directed by Bob Swain. Joe, do you know what it is?
No, I don't.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen it. It's Rob Lowe, Meg Tilly, and Kim Cattrall in Masquerade with John Glover.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
I never knew that movie made $92 million.
Here's the plot. A recently orphaned heiress meets a young racing yacht captain on Long Island. He shows interest in her, and her being heiress to $200 million. Love may not be the reason.
How could this piece of shit made that much money?
Well, it's written by Dick Wolf. For you people who don't know who Dick Wolf is, he invented the song. Ta-dum.
Yeah.
He invented Law and Order, so much so that we had to create a police force.
I've never even heard of this picture.
Neither have I.
$91 million though. That's not chump change.
No.
And I'm not going to shit on a movie with John. I will watch a movie, anything with John Glover in it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to check out.
The lesser of the Tillys.
Dana Delaney in it, guys.
Yeah, I know. I just saw that. Dana Delaney.
Masquerade.
The only reason to watch Exit to Eden.
Exit to Eden, Dana Delaney. Keep going before I say something wrong.
Well, so we're to March 18th now, and
so I'm assuming Joe's going to be muted the rest of the time.
I just hope he turns off his video if he gets too excited. Sorry, y'all got me distracted.
Well, you got the vapors thinking about me working on my OnlyFans.
March 18th sees the release of a lot of films. The Dominic and Eugene. Anybody know anything about
yes,
Dominic?
I do. It's Tom Hulse and Ray Liotta, and Tom Hulse, right?
Yep.
Is mentally handicapped. He has a disability, and he ends up in some trouble.
Also, he plays one in this movie.
Oh, well, that's what I meant to say. He's not actually, but actually, it's not a bad movie. It's a little schmaltzy, but I saw it as a kid. Yep, Dominic and Eugene.
Okay, Little Nikita.
Yep, that's also with Sidney Poitier.
This was a loaded weekend.
River Phoenix is in that, right? Little Nikita.
Yes, here's the one I wanted to bring up because I want to see it now. It was directed by 10 different directors doing 10 short films that they made into one movie. It's called Aria, starring John Hurt, Teresa Russell, Stephanie Lane. The directors that worked on it.
Teresa Russell of horror fame? She's in a movie called Horror. I'm sorry.
Yes. I was hoping. Here's the directors that worked on it, though.
Fame.
Here's the directors that worked on it. Robert Altman, Bruce Beresford, Bill Bryden, Jean-Luc Godard, Derek Jarman, Frank Rodham, Nicholas, I always say this wrong,
Rodham, damn Neil Kierland. Sorry.
Ken Russell, Charles Sturridge, and Julian Temple. All 10 directors. They basically each got a part, and they directed that part, which is amazing to me given how hard the Directors Guild normally goes against that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was Aria. Now, none of those caught the box office on fire.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that did better, and I use better loosely here, and God, this makes me angry, the top one, but DOA would go on to make $12 million.
With Dennis Quaid. That's also a remake of a 50s film. It's called Dead on Arrival. It's about a guy trying to solve his own murder who's been poisoned. Sorry.
That was beat out at the box office. And Joe, if you know something about this, I'd like to know this because the title alone gets me. The Milagro Beanfield War.
Yeah, I do a little.
Okay, no, seriously, I don't know what it's about. I was going to look it up, but I forgot.
I think, is that the one? It's
I would look it up.
Directed by Robert Redford.
I'm looking it up now because it is, Joe.
Yeah, right.
Robert Redford directed it. Yes.
Okay,
Ruben
so
Blades.
here's what I know about it. It's something. It's based on a kind of quasi true story about these Mexican migrant workers doing something. I've only seen scenes from it, but Cheech Marin has had a hate on for that forever because it wasn't directed by a Mexican. It didn't star a lot. He is just.
Oh my God, I gotta see it. It's got Freddie Fender and Christopher Walken in it.
Yeah,
and James Gammon.
And Melanie Griffith. Nobody.
Have you guys ever heard this story before?
No.
Okay.
I never heard of this movie before.
It's a comedy, drama, fantasy, an accidental breakdown of a valve on the irrigation ditch launches a hot confrontation between local farmers and corrupt authorities.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
What else we got?
Well, that beat out, like I said, that beat out DOA, but that in turn was soundly beat by Police Academy 5.
Assignment Miami
Beach. The best Police Academy sequel.
Bar none. Or
not
the
even
best Police
close.
Academy, the best Police Academy film, maybe?
I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't like the first one.
Well, I do too.
I haven't seen them.
But
you know what's better than
Police
Super
Academy
Troopers.
2? Yeah, it's better than Super Troopers. Yeah.
No,
We're sorry, James. Renee Auberjonois.
He's the villain. Dude, they
Brian
write dork.
Cox.
They write dork in sunscreen on Harris. And when he walks around, people go, ha ha, dork.
Dork.
Dude.
Hey, dork.
He pulls the 357 on a shark. That's
And
a
you know,
gun.
And the best part is, oh God, spoilers? Let's just say spoilers.
Spoilers.
Oh my God, please.
Hold on. Before he says a word, I actually haven't seen this movie in 20 years.
When the Commandant
may be a total turd.
Joe, shut your fucking horse mouth.
Shut your what's her name? Kelly Russell mouth. Sorry.
I don't think that's Carrie Russell.
But when Lassard,
now we're getting sued by Carrie Russell.
He thinks they're doing a exercise, and then Renee Auberjonois kidnaps him, and then he keeps telling Renee Auberjonois how to kidnap him, and he gets really Renee Auberjonois gets really emotional, going, "Man, you're such a great guy. Thank you for doing this for me."
It's a good picture. It's a good.
Oh man,
it's better than Citizens on Patrol.
I'm telling you, 1988 guys. Fuck the Matrix. Fuck Pulp Fiction.
Fuck them.
Oh,
fuck them.
1994, more like 1990. Lick my ass. Remember saying?
No.
I got nothing. I didn't know. It was right on top of my head.
No, that's
What's
okay.
Next?
Yeah,
Give me out of this.
Okay. So we're now. I'm sorry, I lost track because of your love fest for that crap film. March 25th.
Should I go on about Army of Dead some more?
Have you seen it?
Oh my God.
What?
Have you actually seen it, James?
What?
Assignment Miami Beach.
I have seen all of them. They used to marathon them. I just not a fan. I never found them that funny. Sorry.
But he pulls a gun on a shark.
Yeah. My mom pulls one on me every time I get on her property. It's not that hilarious.
You're not a shark. Keep going.
I am in the same way James Woods is. That's a television reference, kids.
And Spike Lee actually directed the pilot of that show. Keep going.
It was a bad show. It just wasn't one that could run a long time. Okay, so we are now officially to March 25th. And March 25th, it was literally 4 comedies were released. The first comedy was, of course, it was an import from England, did not necessarily do well. It was High Season. It was released there in 87. It stars James Fox, and Jacqueline Bisset.
Okay.
If anybody wants to, that I know. That was beat out. That only made $1 million. It was beat out by A New Life.
Oh.
Anything? New Life? Anybody?
No. Milagro Beanfield War. I could talk wax on philosophically about for 20 minutes.
Well, that was beat out. So A New Life made almost $8 million.
It was directed by Al Malda, by the way, and written by him and starred him.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. It's an Al Malda picture.
Yeah.
Was beat out by Johnny B. Good, which went on to make $17.5 million.
Did either one of y'all care for Johnny B. Good? Because I didn't.
Well, there's two versions. I can't remember if the R version came out or in the PG-13 versions, what's on video, or if it's a PG-13 version came out in the theater and they released it on R. I can't remember which way that goes. But Johnny B. Good stars Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, directed by Richard Brooks.
No one remembers it.
Yeah, I never cared for it. All right, what's next? What's the other one, James?
Well, that was beat out. All of them fell before what would go on to make almost $52 million. Biloxi Blues.
I didn't know that was a hit. I really liked it.
God, I did too.
Yeah.
I don't even consider that a comedy though.
And
Neil Simon. Not that he couldn't write something other than comedy.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and a lot of things fall. I mean, sometimes I don't think they necessarily categorize them right here. By the way, that was March 25th.
Yeah, even the poster for Biloxi Blues with the Matthew Broderick with it kind of implies that it's a comedy, but it's not. It's pretty rough. I mean,
Christopher Walken's the drill sergeant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's scary too because
he's in so many movies in '88. He's in so many movies all the time. God bless him. By the way, that's the end of it, except March 25th, of course, being the Friday. Guess what comes out March 30th for its premiere?
I had no idea.
Beetlejuice.
I said March earlier, didn't I? I said March or April. So
March 30th. I didn't know it came out midweek.
I didn't either. Beetlejuice is going to kill everything for the next month, I'm assuming.
Close to it. I mean, none of them. Let me see. I can go. It is nothing for April until April.
Did you gentlemen see Beetlejuice in the theater?
I did not.
No, I did not see in the theater.
I was lucky enough to see that in the theater. My mom loved Michael Keaton. I think she had a crush on him. Is
Beetlejuice what split your parents up? You can tell us. This is a safe space.
If Beetlejuice is an 18-year-old whore, then sure.
Well, he
had a cocaine problem and a buried sack full of gold and gun running. I just want to keep adding things.
What the hell?
My God. Why don't you write that movie and make that movie, and I'll pay $3 to see that movie
and go, that ain't his life. That's bullshit.
Oh my God, but you can't do it based on a true story, because there was at one point an 18-year-old
whore. I just got to work her into this at all possible. No, so yeah, I was real lucky enough. I was lucky to see it. It was. I mean, it was just honest to God, it melted my brain. I loved it.
Yeah, for the time, there was nothing like that. Nothing visually.
No.
And the antagonist doesn't come in till late into the movie. I mean,
he's only in the movie 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and by the way, you're absolutely right, Joe. Nothing after that movie for the next month during its entire run made more than about $47 million. And by the way, there's only a couple of them that even got that high. It did crush a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's just going to kill
it was one of my favorite movies for a while. It still is, but
Tim Burton's last really, there's nothing ever been like it film.
So wait, you're saying that was Tim Burton's? Really?
What? I mean, there's movies that I like better. I think Ed Wood is fantastic, but you've never seen anything like Beetlejuice.
Nothing. What about Edward Scissorhands?
I see, but I don't have a place in my heart for Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. Yeah, there's nothing like Beetlejuice in terms of Tim.
I love scenes in it, Chad, and it's a beautiful film. But I never at any time felt attached to Edward Scissorhands like other people do.
Yeah, I'm there with you. But you were saying that was the last Tim Burton film. No. There's others. I think in my opinion.
I think Beetlejuice is a horror comedy, and Edward Scissorhands is a fairy tale.
Well, and it has Vincent Price in it, but I mean, there's just nothing like Beetlejuice. And
No, there
Beetlejuice
wasn't.
is one of those movies that got fixed in the editing room, if I'm not mistaken, right? It wasn't that was a cut and cut and cut.
And
cut.
And by the way, if you look at that now, because I just introduced that to my daughter and she loved it, and I was the smile on my face when I saw that she loved that movie. It's just like but watching it now, I was picking out plot holes, even though I've picked out the same plot holes. Oh yeah, long because I've watched it, but still you're like going, how did they get to the point where everybody was calling him Beetlegeist, but then they just say Beetlejuice and they've just suddenly figured it out. I'm like, where did that come from? There's other things that if you look at it too hard, but no, it's for the time and still to this day.
Or why does he just randomly show up at the end to talk to Lydia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's tons of other ones. If you look at that movie, there's tons of just sudden jumps at the story.
Damn bizarre.
That being said,
it is.
with the exception of Ghostbusters, may have been one of the best movies to have a cartoon spinoff that was just great.
Agreed.
I mean, Real Ghostbusters is better, but Beetlejuice is right there.
Yeah,
I mean, they had to change it for it to be a cartoon, but it works really well the way they changed it.
They did. It did. It really does. Yeah. No. And but yeah, 1988, seeing Beetlejuice, like Joe said, it melted my brain. I'm like, what is this? And honestly,
we never got the sequel.
No. Even though supposedly they're still working on it.
I say because he'd be a Batman again. We'll see what happens.
It was supposed to be Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii, right?
Yeah. But I know it.
That is now Ghostbusters 3, right? I mean, Beetlejuice 2 has become what Ghostbusters 3 was for how long?
Probably. The only thing is I don't know. I always thought we would get more Ghostbuster films. I don't know that we'll get another Beetlejuice film.
Right.
By the way,
we'll eventually get something.
Beetlejuice did pop up though in an episode of the Teen Titans Go. Have you seen that, Chad?
I mean, I've seen Teen Titans Go, but I haven't seen Beetlejuice.
They did an episode where he pops up and him and Raven end up kind of dueling at the end, and it's a lot of fun.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's just like I said. There's another movie on this list that we're going to talk about, which is
on Broadway. By the way, the Broadway Beetlejuice. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this, but it does not follow the plot of the movie. Matter of fact, the opening song, it starts with a ballad, and Beetlejuice appears and says they're starting this with a ballad, and she's singing about her dead mother, who.
I will say that I saw one of the numbers on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade a few years ago, and I hated it. I'm like, I have no desire to see the Broadway version of
it. Changes a lot of different things, and that's actually how Beetlejuice introduces the show. He says he goes, oh, such a startling departure from the source material, because her mother Lydia's mother just died. No. And that's how it begins. And really then Beetlejuice sings a song that you're watching a show about death.
And I know we got to keep rolling really quick.
Yeah, we got to keep
that movie. Only that to me is still a lucky accident. I know that they re-edited that film over and over trying to get it right. Michael Keaton just basically throwing out the script and saying whatever the fuck he wanted to, and the fact that he was a stand-up comic before an actor, most people.
And also too, it came out in recent years that he actually came up with the look for a lot of the look, and then he came in and just blew Tim Burton's mind away when he saw it. So yeah, it's just. Man, it's just that movie.
A lot of happy accidents. Like we were talking about Ghostbusters, a lot of happy accidents.
I know we can't say that now. We can't say this now at all. But when we saw that at our age in 1988, that movie was perfect. I mean, it
really was. I haven't watched it in a while, and I'm waiting to show it to the kid. But
I remember though, to talk about what a big impact it was. I can remember, and if y'all, either one of you remember the name of the show, we had just gotten cable. Because I lived in the sticks, and the cable didn't reach out that far, and we had just gotten it, and we had Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon had a thing where they interviewed, kind of a talk show type thing where they interviewed actors and stuff like that. And I remember it's burned into my memory because they didn't interview Michael Keaton; they interviewed one of the special effects guys from it, and I forget the name. But he brought in the props, and that burned into my head because I hadn't seen the movie yet.
It wasn't V. Neal? V. Neal, I think, did the hero makeup for Beetlejuice, but I'm almost positive.
This was whoever did. I guess it was a prop guy, not a makeup guy. It was a she. It was a she, but V. Neal's a lady. But yeah. Has been on Face Off.
Right? Yeah.
But anyway, it brought in the props of the eye stretch and stuff like that. And I forget. Anyway, that burned into my head because even though I hadn't seen the movie, I'm like, God, that's cool. I mean, I was scared of horror films as a kid, but seeing those props, I'm like, man, that's something I haven't seen before.
And before we move on, I do want to just because of how impactful it was to me, because I can't stress how much Beetlejuice impacted me in terms of how I loved movies and how I looked for future movies, because it just completely changed a lot of my thoughts on how movies are, my likes in movies. But a couple of years ago, I got to go to Los Angeles and for work, and I made it my goal to go to Warner Brothers Studios, which I was able to do. And I just happened to be there during a Beetlejuice exhibit. And I got to go into the area where they had a lot of the costumes, the original costumes on display, as well as some of the miniatures and some of the other items. And I was actually able to walk. I wouldn't do it because it says do not touch it, but I was able to get so close to the outfit that Michael Keaton wears at the very end when he's, doing the wedding. I swear to God, it was like he was in the suit. That's how excited I got. I was actually nervous to be that close, but I took a picture with myself next to it. And I just wanted to touch it so bad, but I knew I just can't. But I was never had a bigger grin on my face than seeing that outfit and being that close to it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's go. Let's keep going.
April 1st. I'm going to start with the lowest one, but if you get a chance, look up the poster for this because I kind of want to see it. It's an adventure film called Iguana.
I've never heard of it.
It stars Everett McGill, Michael Bradford, Roger Kendall, and a bunch of other people nobody knows. That being said,
Everett McGill is famous for The People Under the Stairs, and also he was in the David Lynch show. Damn it, Twin Peaks.
This was directed by Monty Hellman.
Here's the plot. God, James.
I know. Here's the plot, Joe. In the 19th century, a bullied, disfigured man dubbed Iguana flees from abusive locals, finds his own island, and declares himself tyrant of his new domain. A man and a woman get stranded there and become victims of his new sadistic nature. And the poster is basically him. Half of his face is all like reptile-y, and the other half is normal. That's how he's disfigured. He looks half lizard-like. Somehow, gentlemen, that did not catch the box office on fire and was the lowest achieving film this weekend among 6 other films. Now, above that, or in the same ballpark of that, was The Courier, which also did not light the box office up. But A Time of Destiny also failed to light the box office
Keep going.
Stand and Deliver.
Oh, yeah.
Would go on to make 13.
How do I reach these kids?
Would go on to make almost $14 million, which does not seem like a big deal. And by the way,
I think that's more popular now.
It was only third at the box office. As far as what would it go on to make? Because it was beat out by Bright Lights, Big City, which was in turn beat out by, and this is the film that people love to make me angry with, or confusing it with what I consider one of the greatest films, The Seventh Sign.
Well, that's a Demi Moore movie.
Yes.
I can't believe Stand and Deliver got beat out by Bright Lights, Big City and The Seventh Sign. Oh my God.
Okay. So Seventh Sign is the one that no one remembers. It's got Demi Moore, Jürgen Prochnow, who's a great German actor, and he plays Jesus, and she's having a baby. And this guy's on death row who was, once again, back to what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about that movie. He's mentally handicapped, but he's actually played by someone who really had these issues, and he killed his parents because he's trying to do something for God, and he's an innocent, and he's being killed on death. Oh, Jesus. I can't believe that was number 1.
Well, Beetlejuice was number 1.
Well, I know, but I mean, I can't believe The Seventh Seal.
As far as movies released,
see what I did there?
As far as movies released this weekend, though, Chad.
Seventh Sign, yeah.
Man, Seventh Sign, Stand and Deliver. So full disclosure, it's one of those movies I've never seen.
Stand and Deliver?
Never seen it.
You should.
You'll never reach these kids.
He's really good in it. I know everybody makes a joke, but he's really good at it.
Well, South Park made the joke, and now everybody does it. So Lou Diamond Phillips and Edward James Olmos. Yeah, no,
I can remember having to watch some version of that in school. Like it was something like, "Oh, everybody can achieve. Watch this movie." And if I remember correctly, it's not. There's parts of that movie I shouldn't have seen in school. To be as in conservative area as I was. So we're to April 8th, gentlemen, but there's not a lot of things released. I want to begin with what would go on to make the least amount of money. But speaking of body switching comedies, how could people not remember George Burns in 18 Again?
I forgot all about it. So we had Vice Versa.
Yep. In 18 Again.
Yeah. I remember watching 18 Again. George is only in that for maybe 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, because
most of it is his voiceover.
Yeah, he plays a grandfather. The basic plot is he plays a grandfather, and there's an accident. He switches souls with his grandson, and his grandson's soul gets stuck in his body, which is falling into a coma. And that's a movie.
Yeah,
Pauly Shore's in that too.
I've seen it.
88 was the year of Pauly Shore, people. Pauly Shore and Christopher Walken. Why have they not done a movie together? And you can't tell me Christopher Walken wouldn't do it. He's in Joe Dirt. And by the way, he's charming in Joe Dirt. Anyway, 18 Again gets beat out by the horror film Bad Dreams.
Yeah, that's actually, Jesus. It's not very good. It stars Chainsaw from...
Is that the one in the hospital?
School. Yeah, it's the one with hospital. I actually met that actor who plays the big bad Richard. I can't think of his last name.
Richard Lynch.
Remember when we talked to the director?
Yeah.
And he met him that weekend, and it's a small world, but yes, Richard Lynch.
That in turn was beat out by, and I know you all want to talk about this, Above the Law. Was the number one movie that came out.
Because Steven Seagal thinks he's
above the law.
There, I was waiting for someone to say it. Yeah.
So I gotta look it up. It was hard to God, Steven Seagal. How did we ever fall for his?
Here's what bothers me.
You've heard this story before.
Here's what bothers me, Chad, and I posted this actually.
And by the way, Above the Law, Steven Seagal holding a gun.
Yep.
He couldn't get that role in Cop.
Above, but the Steven Seagal thing, and I posted something interacting with somebody who has been on our show. On Twitter, I posted this earlier. How is it? And this is what I will say about Steven Seagal. Why didn't we let Dolph Lundgren get every role that Steven Seagal got?
I don't know.
I don't understand it. I just don't.
Is 10 times better, if not 1,000 times better.
I never liked Steven Seagal till Under Siege. I just never could get it. Just his whole thing. His running and the slap fighting. I just never could get. No, you've seen.
All I can think about is honestly, when you say Steven Seagal, you want to know where my mind goes? One of the early episodes of Family Guy. Joe is watching, says, I can now, he gets a set of television with a headset, so he won't bother Bonnie when he's watching his movie.
Yeah.
And he's watching the Steven Seagal film and it's the film within the show he's watching says, you're not going to come on this land and take it from us. And it pans out and it's a bunch of seals.
Yeah.
They got up on the ice and he starts killing the seals. And I'm like, that's where my mind goes now, because that's the most entertained I've ever been by Steven Seagal. And it's not really him.
There's a Steven Seagal movie I like, but I can't think of the name of it. Oh, it's Under Siege is the only one, right?
Yeah.
It's because of Tommy Lee Jones and
Erica Laniak
and Crazy
Gary Busey.
Yeah,
it's everybody but Steven Seagal.
But that's his best movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. What's next?
Right. So we're on April 15th. And gentlemen, do you know what you had on April 15th, 1988? An appointment with death.
What?
An appointment with death. It came out. It didn't do well at the box office, but it came out.
I got a cat screaming over in the other room. Sorry, by the way. It's "Row, row." You hear
the
that
other
the fire
film-
alarm's going off. None of the boneheads are helping me.
The other films that came out that did better than Appointment with Death included Plain Clothes.
Nope.
It was a comedy. The Moderns.
Nope.
Return to Snowy River.
The Man from Snowy River, which I'd never seen till 3 years ago. With Kirk Douglas.
So Return to Snowy River, obviously the follow-up to that, but the movie that was number one, or would go on to become number one for this weekend, earning money, not number one again, but would go on to make $46 million.
Mm-hmm.
Colors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Colors. Now that's directed by Dennis
Hopper.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell has happened to me. Robert Duvall and Sean Penn starring in Dennis Hopper's Colors. That was really do you guys remember it being controversial, or are you too young?
No, I remember being controversial yeah.
Because it was, it had a lot of language. It was about LA cops and killing, and it was really controversial. I didn't realize until I was older that it was directed by Dennis Hopper.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, in '88, I wouldn't have got the rep, and I shouldn't have been watching it that young, but I'm almost positive I saw it in '89, '90. Robert Duvall dies at the end of it, right?
I can't remember. It's been years. I mean, literal years.
What?
I think I may have been.
Was that a hit, James? Colors?
46
it's about them
million
fighting gangs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it went on to make 46, almost $47 million.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got a lot of. It's got Don Cheadle, Damon Wayans. I mean, Bruce. No, not sorry, that's somebody else. But yeah, it's got a lot of famous actors playing gang members in it. Yeah.
It's about cops fighting gangs. What's next?
Well, the next weekend they had this great idea. We'll just release every movie ever and see if it does well. They released 9 movies, came out on April 22nd. I'll see if any of
Jesus came out on Easter, Chad. Keep going, James.
Wait, you're saying Jesus came out as gay? What?
Oh, there we go. We just surpassed Colors for controversy.
You said it, not me.
No, I just said he came out of a cliff. A hole.
I didn't hear cliff.
To move the rock.
James, did you hear cliff? I didn't hear cliff.
Anyway, moving on. April 22nd. We see a couple different things released, a lot of different things released. The one that does the least, I guess, is
yes, James.
It is Permanent Record. Do you know anything about Permanent Record?
No.
Directed by Marissa Silver.
So
starring Alan Boyce, Keanu Reeves, Jennifer Rubin, Lou Reed as himself. It's about a man who seemingly has it all together, being smart, talented, funny, and popular, is secretly overwhelmed by expectations of himself and those of his parents, and suffers what is assumed to be a horrible accident. Did not light the box office on fire, but I'd like to see it because that's a heck of a cast.
I need to pause real quick. To the door. Yes, James, you were saying?
So Permanent Record did not do well at the box office, but it was also joined by a black comedy that did not do well, that we all have a soft spot in our hearts for, because John Astin, may he live forever, Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Which did not set the box office on fire. Neither did, oddly enough, a drama called Backfire.
Nope.
So those were the kind of the losers. Doing slightly better than those was a comedy called State Park.
Never heard of it.
State Park was directed by Carrie Feltham and Rafal Zelinsky, written by Daryl Felty, starring Kim Myers, Isabel Magius, James Wilde, and evidently it's basically a sex comedy. Nope. A businessman plans to dump toxic waste in the state park, but it just doesn't go according to plan.
I thought you were just going to keep on going.
No, I just wanted to. State Park. We need to. No, so State Park gets beat out by Eat the Rich.
Okay.
Comedy. Which gets beat out by White Mischief. which is in turn beat out by The Unholy, which is in turn.
Okay, now The Unholy, I know that's a Ben Cross film about the vampire something, whatever, in the church, right?
That I skipped one. I'm sorry. Lady in White.
Oh,
State Park.
Oh,
that's a Chad Jennings favorite.
It's only made $2 million at the box office. So.
Lady in the White, one of the 2 movies in 1 year that scared the hell out of me: Serpent and the Rainbow and Lady in White.
But that being said, and I didn't know this, but the number 1 movie this weekend would star Leah Thompson, Victoria Jackson, and was directed by Genevieve Robert.
Oh,
and that would of course be Casual Sex.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew sex was in the title.
By the way, what is it with question marks in movies this year? Because we had what was the earlier film that we talked about? For Keeps and Maybe. Casual Sex. Those movies should be put on one disc.
Yeah, it's not memorable. Or I've actually seen Casual Sex. I've never had it, but I've seen it.
But so Casual Sex was of the movies released that weekend went on to gross the most. April 29th, and this is going to trigger Chad, but there was an international film release, Jahez la Acteurs, which was beat out by Critters 2, the main course.
The best Easter film ever made.
Joe stole my line. I hope you're happy with that, you fucker.
You know what I was ever happy? You know what I was even happier about? Do you remember that time, gentlemen, with the director of Critters 2 came on our show and let us interview him?
I was more happy with the production designer.
Oh, snap. It is on like Michelle Kwan.
Yeah, there you go. Who was that?
That would be one Nick Strawn.
I know. I was just trying to piss off Vic.
And then we also talked with this. Yeah, no, Critters 2, man. Amazing film. Like I really had a soft spot for Critters. And and then Critters 2 came out, and it just, man, it's a perfect. It's one of those rare instances where the sequel is better than the original.
Yeah, I rewatched Critters and I didn't realize just how cheap Critters was.
Yeah.
Until I rewatched
they're just trapped in a house.
And I haven't rewatched Critters 2 in a while. So that's next up, and I haven't done it yet. And I'm hoping that Critters 2 is superior because it is in my head.
Well, so Critters 2 would make $3 million.
We have pretty much talked with everybody who's ever made this film. So yeah.
Critters 2 was beat out by a film, and I just want to name the cast and see if y'all can guess the movie, because it's one that I've seen, but I need to go back and watch it because, again, looking at this cast, I'm like, I need to check this out. Andres Katsoulis, I'll get tongue-tied on that one. Malcolm McDowell, James Garner, and Bruce Willis, directed by Blake Edwards.
Oh,
going once.
No, it's a Western, right?
Yeah.
No idea.
Sunset.
I couldn't remember the name of it. It's
Sunset, by the way,
a cowboy Western movie. It's about making cowboy Western films.
Yeah.
Like in the 30s.
Tom Mix and Wyatt Earp team up to solve a murder at the Academy Awards in 1929 Hollywood. Tom Mix being an actual cowboy or being an actor, Wyatt Earp being, Wyatt Earp. That only made $5 million. It was beat out by something that would go on to make $42 million. Baghdad Cafe. That
made $42 million. That's another movie I don't think people remember, and I can barely remember. It's about these two older ladies with a cafe.
Yep. Which was originally released in other parts of the world in 1987.
Yeah.
It was a German film.
Yeah.
The original title was actually Out of Rosenheim, and they changed it for release in America, but it still to this day has an IMDb rating of 7.4.
Well, I haven't seen it in a long time. I did watch it.
And Critters 2 only has a 5.5. That is bullshit.
Well, that's because you grew up in Baghdad.
Yeah.
No.
Going to the Baghdad Cafe was just Monday for you.
It didn't mean anything to Chad. It was special for the rest of the world.
We didn't have a cafe. All you had was a gas station that sold country ham.
Oh, look
They
at
have
you
no-
with
they
your
ain't got no
country ham.
biscuits.
Your country club ham with your
Oh.
country club ham.
Yeah, fucking pinkies as high as it'll go. Keep going, James.
I just can't believe
That was number one. So we're now to
Are we in May yet?
yeah, we're May 6th.
It's about time. It's 11:30. Keep going.
Yeah, good God, we're at 2
Well,
hours.
I've got to look up the first film because, gentlemen, the lowest earner this week was the film Whoops Apocalypse.
Keep going. Just keep going.
It was a British film.
Stop
It's a
when you get to
satire
Death
of
Row
World
Game
War-
Show.
It was a satire film of World War III, made in England. It was released in England in 1986. But sorry,
I'm looking at the poster on the plane. I'm assuming you keep going. I'm going to assume this is Carol Channing. If it's not Carol Channing,
Carol Channing.
nope, that would be Loretta Swit.
Okay, so you know what was the lowest earner other than Whoops Apocalypse on May 6th? And this is a tragedy because it stars the master thespian, Dead Heat.
Oh, Dead Heat came out in 88.
Yeah,
Told you, 1988, best year for film ever.
Only
Dead
if we
Heat-
get to this obscure film called Death Row Game Show that came around sometime in those couple of years.
And by the way, 1988 Dead Heat movie poster, Joe Piscopo holding a gun,
And Treat
Dead-
Williams.
holding an
Dead-
Uzi, doesn't count.
Oh, well,
Dead
I think
Heat.
that
Well,
is a
an
gun,
Uzi is
though,
a
Chad.
type of gun. It's just not a pistol.
I think that's right, Chad. I think your gun knowledge is lacking
James.
for a Kentuckian.
James, how dare you, Joe? YouTube
I
viewers will
dare
get a kick out of that.
every day.
Every
Anyway,
day.
so Dead Heat only made $4 million. Somehow got beat out by Salsa,
Oh God,
which
Salsa.
I assume
was
is a
followed
follow-up
by
to
Chips.
Yeah,
Guys,
follow-up to Chips.
Okay, so Salsa is briefly is one of those films that I had to watch on loop because my mom was into all of these films. Dirty Dancing, Footloose, Salsa is the same thing. A young East Los Angeles Latino pursues his dream of becoming a great salsa dancer. And he is enraged to learn that his little sister is romantically involved with his best friend. So yeah, it's, oh God.
Did she watch the Lambada, the Forbidden Dance?
That one we actually never watched. I actually found,
It's
no,
'cause
we
it was
never
forbidden.
watched.
She was like,
She took
"Shit,
that
I can't take
forbidden
that home." Mrs.
But no,
Jennings followed the rules.
I just want to talk about how much I hated Salsa because it was just one of those movies that I knew
Even with
if my mom
hippies?
was going to what
Keep going.
chippies.
My kid says chipsies and dipsies.
And by the way, the tagline for Salsa,
Yeah.
it's hot.
Well, I just want the mild and some
Now, do you got any
queso.
of that Verde? I like that salsa.
Yeah,
Verde.
I'm the Salsa Verde too. That's my go-to. The
Well,
Salsa Verde.
I'll eat
actually,
any of
what
it, don't get me
actually
wrong.
what
I ain't
James
fancy. I ain't
wants
putting on
is what James wants is queso with chorizo in the middle.
And by the way,
that too,
and in all the
that's
posters,
pricier.
and in all the posters, it does say Salsa, the motion picture, because you don't want to be confused with Salsa, the dip.
or salsa, New York City.
By the way, Chad,
going.
it'll do you good, Chad, to know that was not the movie that came out this week that went on to gross the most. Do you
Thank
want to
God.
know what was?
I would love to hear because I hated Salsa.
It is the best film to
Even
my
with
knowledge.
strawberries.
It is the best film to my knowledge that has ever came out that was directed by James Glickenhaus and starring Richard Brooks, Sam Elliott, and Peter Weller. I'm talking Shakedown,
Shakedown.
Yeah, another cop movie.
which
And-
what's on the
and
poster,
it's Sam
Chad?
Elliott
Sam Elliott with the
With a
pistol.
gun.
with a pistol.
And by the way,
Yeah,
the plot to this is a legal attorney. I love the fact they say a legal attorney as opposed to a chicken attorney, and renegade cop team up to stop a corrupt cop. So the good cop is a renegade, but he's not
Cock
corrupt.
solicitor.
Okay, so
You
Shakedown.
said chicken attorney. I was trying to think of cock solicitor.
I bet
That's
you
what
were.
It works.
bet you
it
were.
works.
So how
Most
many? How
cock
long has it,
solicitors do have to work though.
have you all seen Shakedown?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, 20 years
Not
ago.
years. Yeah, I was gonna say not in any way.
And
I can
probably
talk
only
about
seen
it.
parts of it. That's when his hair was black and silver.
Yeah.
Yes, Sam Elliott.
Yeah, Sam Elliott.
Yeah, yeah.
Peter Weller. Peter Weller has been an Adonis from the get-go.
Yeah,
from
he
the
had that
jump till
perfect
now.
coif of blonde
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
But no, Shakedown is seriously, it's one of those films. It's a low budget B film, action film, but it is Peter Weller and Sam Elliott. You can't get it wrong. Right. I do want to point out the fact that there's one where the bad guy's getting away and Sam Elliott hangs on to the plane and you can, and it's obviously fake as shit, but Sam Elliott blows up the plane with a grenade and drops 20,000 feet out into the ocean, and he's fine.
Well, yeah, because he's Sam Elliott.
Because Sam Elliott. Spoilers. Sorry.
That's okay.
James, what's next? Shakedown, you got to see it.
We are now on Friday, May 13th. So, of course, what's going to come out on Friday the 13th? That's right, Maniac Cop.
Oh. I thought Maniac Cop was made before then, so that's cool.
But Maniac Cop was also joined by Friday the 13th, Part 7, New Blood.
Yeah. And we all know what Maniac that one's Cop. About. That's the one where she's got psychic powers.
Is it?
She's got the shinning.
Yep, that's the one with Terry. Jesus, that great Terry.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. He's a great character actor.
Man, I don't know. Maniac Cop or New Blood. I said that too quickly because now
you want to know the truth?
New Blood was that was my favorite Jason film.
Yeah, it was mine too for a long. I don't really like any of them. So honestly, they both sounded. So here's the toss up. One is one of the better Jason films. The other one has Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
So they both kind of suck.
God, yeah, they do. I don't know. I have a hard time with that one. Yeah. Because Friday the 13th Part 7 was the one I actually watched repeatedly. But yeah, that's just, they're not good.
I did have the, I'm not going to tell this story. It's going to be one of those James is like, oh, here he goes, dropping names again. James.
Next.
May 20th. Okay, I want to give something credit because I did not know.
Is it me?
No. No, I don't think so. I have not seen this picture, but I want to say whoever released it at this time had to have just, as my father would say, had to have immense intestinal fortitude, because on May 20th, 1 week after Friday the 13th came out, Al Filo del Hacha came out. I'm sure I haven't taken Spanish in 20 years. I'm sure I mispronounced that, but it's a horror film.
Yeah.
And it was released, and so that's the original title. In America, it was released as Edge of the Axe.
Okay.
Now, Chad, if you pull up the photo for that poster for Edge of the Axe,
doing it,
Al Filo del Hacha, you'll see why I said you had to have intestinal fortitude to go, oh, did you just bring out one of them pictures? Well,
holy
guess
geez.
what we're bringing out.
So Edge of the Axe is literally a man wearing a knapsack over his head is the best way I can think of it.
Yeah.
And he's chopping through a door with an axe, and there's a bloody hand holding up with, it looks like 2 fingers missing out of it.
And here's the plot. An axe murderer terrorizes a small Northern California mountain community while 2 young computer-obsessed adults attempt to solve the killings.
Yep, that's it. Brought to you by Overseas something. Yep.
Yeah, Overseas Productions. Imported from Mexico, basically. That, however, was not number 1 at the box office. You know why, Chad?
Why?
They brought out a tree movie, something about Willow. Willow.
I didn't know Willow was number 1 at the box office.
It went
on. It was huge.
No, it was not. It made how many?
$57 million.
I was about to say, I didn't think Willow was.
Because gentlemen, when we get to May 25th, you're going to forget all about that because it gets blown away.
What's next?
Oh, well, May 13th, there's a couple other films that came out I wanted to mention briefly. One of which is Illegally Yours.
Let's go back real quick. Did Willow, Joe shits on it, but did Willow have an impact on you?
I didn't get to see Willow for a long time. My parents,
really, it's not that it's terrible. It just, there's so many other movies that are better, and I just don't have an attachment to it.
Well, and by the way, I'm jumping back to May 13th because I did skip a couple movies that I wanted to mention that were not originally on the list that I had to correct. So, but I wanted to mention Illegally Yours that came out May 13th because that is Peter Bogdanovich, which we also lost.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pretty sure he's at the coroner's office.
As long as he's not running the place. The other one that came out the May 13th that I forgot to mention was Bulletproof. Anybody remember Bulletproof?
No, there's a couple of Bulletproofs. You're not
talking there's the Adam Sandler
one. No, this Bulletproof is oh shoot, I can't get it to pull up right now.
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, yes. Gary Busey plays a guy that's been shot 12 times but doesn't die. He's a cop, so they nickname him Bulletproof.
Man, Henry Silva was very busy in 1988. He's been on several of the. Every time I pull up a movie, it seems like Henry Silva is in it.
And the other movie that came out that I forgot to mention on the 13th that I wanted to mention that I think is relevant is directed by Danny Bilson, starring, and y'all are going to know this because y'all have talked about this before, John Goodman, Brian James, Tim Thomerson, Richard Belzer, Richard Lewis, and Louis Anderson are
the wrong guys.
So that was May 13th as well. I wanted to give credit for
that. And if we've talked about it briefly in the past, but it is about an adult group. They were Cub Scout group, and they come back together as adults to go on the their hiking their camping trip that they went on as kids. Joe and I had an extreme fondness for this as kids.
Till we
watched it as an adult, and man, is it not funny.
It's not.
Now, how does it compare to Dream Team? Because I love Dream Team as a kid.
I still love Dream Team.
I haven't watched the Dream Team. I really would have preferred, as much as I like Dream. I liked The Wrong Guys more, and then got a copy of it. It was like 15 years ago, Chad, or something.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
There's not a. Is there even a plot? It's just one thing after another. No. And with that cast, you would think. Everybody's in it, and you think it would have been amazing, and it's just not. But as a kid, I don't know what we were as a kid, and we enjoyed it.
Really fucked up.
Yeah, because we just loved it. For years, I could not find a copy of this, and I thought about it and how great it was, and then we watched it as adults, and we're like,
"There's a copy. I bought it on DVD. It's right over there. It's bad."
I was going to buy a copy, and then I watched Joe's. I'm like, I don't need to do that.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
So sorry, catching back up, since I skipped those on the 13th, we've done the 20th with Willow coming out. We're now to May 25th. And if you're doing math going, wait a second, that's not 7 days after the 20th. Well, 2 movies came out May 25th.
We're preparing for more Memorial Day weekend that weekend.
Yeah. And both of these movies would tell Beetlejuice to sit down, because they both went on to make over $100 million.
I think I know what one of them is.
The lowest one, the one that only made $188 million, was Rambo 3.
Oh no, that's 188. All
that has to be total.
Yeah, full run. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's the world. That was Rambo 3 did not make as much as the other 2 in the States.
Yeah. This is but that was beat out by probably the 4th best Paul Hogan film, Crocodile Dundee 2.
Not what I thought he was going to say.
Crocodile Dundee 2 would go on to make $239 million worldwide.
Crocodile Dundee 2.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I didn't know it was that big of a hit.
Yeah, me neither. Man, 2 movies I could give shit about.
Right, now, Rambo 3, he solves all the issues in Afghanistan, and we never have to worry about it again.
Never heard about Afghanistan the rest of our lives.
Yeah. No, and I loved Rambo 3. As 8-year-old me loved Rambo 3, and I could not get enough of Crocodile Dundee at that age. But now,
well, I liked Rambo, but I didn't care for Crocodile Dundee when I was a kid.
Oh, really? Yeah, I loved.
No, I haven't rewatched them. I've watched them, but I was non-connected to it. But now, where are the missiles up your ass?
Yes. And him being in that cave and lighting his gunshot wound with gunpowder, I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Because you hadn't seen 2 Mules for Sister Sarah.
No.
Because Clint Eastwood did it first.
So that's May 25th. So 2 days later, on that Friday when normal movies would come out, would you gentlemen like to guess what they thought would be great counter programming to Crocodile Dundee 2 and Rambo 3?
I can only imagine.
But I want you to tell me.
This is when you're going to drop Killer Clowns from Outer Space, gentlemen.
Holy Jesus Christ.
I just never heard it put quite that way.
It's 1988. It's still blowing. Every month there's been something that still holds up and still I love. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is great.
I haven't.
By the way,
watched
my
it in
best
a
friend
long
is a
time.
vampire. My best friend is a vampire as
My
well.
best friend is a vampire is a
Vampire.
movie I like. That also has Renee Auberjonois in it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're the Chiodos are dicks.
Well,
Not
that,
all of
but it also, my best friend is a vampire had that. My future so bright I gotta wear shades is in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're now to June. June 3rd is our first Friday in June. And 2 films will come out, and one of them will go on to be hugely successful. The other one will not be financially successful, but it's just too busy being brilliant. I'm being sarcastic. Funny Farm.
But okay.
I love Funny Farm.
I did not like Funny Farm. I didn't find it funny, but it's directed by George Roy Hill, who directed The Sting and Butch Cassidy. And I was listening to an interview with Chevy Chase, and he actually said that's his favorite movie of his.
Really?
Yes. He said it in an interview, and I was shocked because I never liked it. You guys liked it?
Oh, I loved it.
That's the one with the dog that won't stop running,
hit?
right?
Yeah, the dog just stop running.
Stop running.
Yep. No, I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah. I love when it gets dark in the middle when he just doesn't give a shit anymore. Everything about I really did. I
remember it.
And he's wanting to write a book and he just can't do it. Then all of a sudden No, I loved it.
She writes a bestseller, right?
Yeah, and it's a kid's book. Yeah.
So,
so was that a hit?
It made $25 million.
So no, okay.
No. I mean, not for what Chevy Chase had been doing before.
Mm-hmm.
But that partially it doesn't do as well because it premieres against. Now, keep in mind, you have Crocodile Dundee and Rambo, who are big global pictures, and then Big comes out June 3rd.
Goes on a cultural phenomenon.
And $53 million.
Yeah, I saw Big that summer,
which it was not supposed to do. I mean, it was not. Funny Farm should have been the hit.
And let's face it, it's a body swap film too, guys.
It's a body swap film, and it's directed by Penny Marshall. Well, it's kind of a body swap. He wishes to be big. It's a fairy tale. It's very much in the vein. I agree with Chad. We've already had Vice Versa and 18 again. Yeah. But Big, I saw that in the theater that summer. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. Listen, Tom Hanks says "fuck" in that movie, and it just went. I went when I heard it. Don't know why.
Which what you don't know was that's how he greeted. What was the other guy in Booze and Buddies? Booze and
Buddies. I
blanked on his name.
I can.
That's how he greeted him every morning.
Hey, fuck bosom buddy. Yeah. So Big. Do you guys like Big? I haven't seen it in a long time.
I still do. Yeah. I haven't seen in a long time either, but yeah,
my wife has a real fondness for it. And I mean, it's a fun movie, but I don't have that. You mentioned not having connections to certain films, even though they were big. That's mine. I don't have. And again, I think it's a charming film, sure, but
it's held together by his performance because he's one of the few people who actually acts like a 12-year-old boy would act. Yeah. And I'm not talking about the decisions. I mean, just mannerisms. He actually nails the part.
That's something. And it's Tom Hanks being just the talented man at that time. And then, watching him then, you would never imagine that he transforms into one of the most dramatic actors of our time as well.
Well, I was going to say, because and there's even that Family Guy thing where Peter goes to see him in Philadelphia and goes, I love this guy. He's hilarious. I've got AIDS. See, hilarious. Terrible.
What's next?
So those are the only things on June 3rd. We get to June 10th. And let me just once again say, okay, so we went from action film, Dundee, Rambo. We bounced back to comedy. So what are you going to counter program with on June 10th? Whatever the hell you can. Here's what comes out. One of which I have got to see, but it's the lowest performing one that came out this week.
Hope you're making a note of all the movies we need to see. So we have The Telephone.
He ain't raking a note of
What's the Tim Curry
Why did
movie?
he say raking a note?
I don't know. I ain't raking
yeah,
nothing.
but you ain't raking a note for shit.
So coming out this weekend and not performing well at all, but I've got to see it, is a comedy called Stars and Bars. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Let me just say some of the cast: Spalding Gray, Keith David, Joan Cusack, Kent Broadhurst, Harry Dean Stanton, and Daniel Day-Lewis. British art expert, Daniel Day-Lewis, travels across America in order to purchase a rare Renoir painting in the South, but comes across some crazy characters in the process. Directed by Pat O'Connor.
Yeah, we got to see this.
I got to see that movie. But that does not do as well as the next movie, Poltergeist 3. Still poltergeisting.
Hey, we have interviewed the director.
Yeah. Poltergeist 3 comes out, only makes $14 million. And Carol Ann doesn't come back for part 4.
Ooh.
Yeah, ooh.
Hit and a miss. So,
Sorry.
but well,
I remember seeing that at the drive. I saw that at the drive-in, and same with Big. I saw Big in the drive-in too. Going to the drive-in theater and seeing Poltergeist 3 and being completely creeped out.
I liked Poltergeist 3 as a kid.
Yeah.
Apparently, and if you go back and listen to our episode with the director, a lot of the practical mirror effects were still used in a movie that came out this year too, and that he did a lot of credited consulting on, and a lot of it still holds up, and it's all in camera. A lot of the stuff where they're walking in and out of mirrors is all in camera, and I'm just giving it props. First of all, he did our show and did a 2-parter, and he was a really great guest. And second of all, simply because I don't know. I mean, he got really fucked because the star died and he was never able to finish the third act like it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a long time, guys.
I made a terrible joke there, but no, I mean, the legends that have came out of that movie and that franchise of it being cursed and everything happening. And I mean, I don't necessarily believe in curses. I'm not opening any tombs, so, but there you go. So Poltergeist 3 makes $14 million. It is beat out though by a movie.
Gary Sherman. Sorry, I was trying to remember Gary Sherman's name. Gary Sherman's talented guy.
I have a huge soft spot for the next film that went on to make $20 million. It's not a great film, but I love it so much because how could you go wrong with Mark Harmon of the time and Sean Connery? And I'm going to beat you with just my thumb. The Presidio.
I actually don't think I've ever actually seen the Presidio.
What? I don't think I have. Here. How can you not?
I don't know.
Meg Ryan when people cared.
I don't know, fucker. I actually never had anything for Meg Ryan, but yes, Presidio. She's in some movies.
I'm the only one who I think for Meg Ryan.
I think so. Yeah, she's in movies I like, Chad, but I don't have a thing for now.
I think she's talented. I just never was,
I always think she plays the same character, but yes.
Oh, she does.
But
that character works really well in Sleepless in Seattle. I think it's a good movie.
I think the only
when Harry Met Sally.
There's only 2 movies where I can think of where she didn't play the same character: Flesh and Bone and When a Man Loves a Woman.
Yeah, that's when she's an alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
And
she falls through that shower like a champ.
All right.
I know you haven't seen it, Joe, but this may interest you. Do you know originally he was supposed to star in this?
No,
Chad?
I do not.
It would have been a different film. So the plot to the Presidio, I should say, is basically Mark Harmon's character used to be a military police officer. Sean Connery's character was his commanding officer. He leaves because they have a disagreement over the way they handle a drunk driver on base. He becomes a private, a normal police officer instead of military police. But then there's a crime that happens at the Presidio, and he has to go back and help solve the crime because it involves the civilian forces too. And it doesn't help that he's dating Meg Ryan, who plays Sean Connery's dog. Now, that being said, the original plan for this was that it was meant to star Sean Connery and Don Johnson. Don Johnson had to drop out because there was some last minute issues with finishing the season of Miami Vice. And Mark Harmon was brought on because he was available at the last minute. Talk about a happy accident. Wouldn't you love if all of a sudden it's like, listen, we're doing this picture with Ian McKellen. And we were going to have, I don't know, somebody else star, but They can't. Do you want to come in and do it? Yes, I do.
James,
Yes.
can you describe the movie poster of the Presidio?
Yeah, he's
It
holding a gun.
is Sean Connery looking forward, and then Mark Harmon has a pistola. It's 1988, the year of pistol pictures.
Yes. Or the whole 80s. Yeah.
Oh, probably. So that, however, still wasn't number one. Went on to make $20 million. But what does it get beat out by? Well, there's only one film that can do big business.
Oh.
Well, Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler. Right?
Yep. Big Business would go on to make $40 million. It was out of the movies that came out that week.
I didn't know it was that big
It
of a
went on
hit.
to be the biggest.
It did big business.
Yeah.
Yeah, aptly named. What else we got?
That's it for June 10th, but June 15th, we get another midweek release. And it's a movie that stars Kevin Costner about the baseball, Bull Durham, which is not actually about baseball, but
Bull Durham it does have baseball. It's a baseball movie.
It has, well, but I mean, there's not a ton of people that go, you know what the best baseball movie ever is? Bull Durham. I mean, some people, but it's not.
I mean,
that should be an argument.
Yeah,
you can have that argument. You can have the argument of being.
I mean, what is? It's not like there's any other baseball movies. I mean,
no,
there was none. There was no Field of Dreams.
He never had any love for the game,
or
he never
wasn't.
I
almost said Tin Cup.
You don't get to talk about baseball.
I like Tin Cup. All right, what's next?
But Bull Durham midweek release went on to make $50 million. But so it came out on Wednesday. What do we get on Friday?
Don't know.
The lowest earning, Waxwork. The next is the action film, not to be confused with Dead Heat, sir. This is Red Heat.
With Stallone and Jim Belushi.
Yep.
Sorry, Jed.
But
I forgot that Waxwork. Actually, I like Waxwork. We'll go back to real quick. It's a horror film. It's directed by Anthony Hitchcock, starring Zach Galligan from Gremlins. It's a low budget horror film. It's also got the great David Warner. It's just one of those third acts that goes absolutely batshit nuts. You guys ever seen it?
No.
They made a sequel. John Rhys Davies is in it too.
And now I'm wanting to watch Red Heat.
I forgot who all was in Red Heat. I forgot Lawrence Fishburne, Gina Gershon,
Peter Boyle,
Brian James. Man, Brian James is busy this year too.
Brian James is busy. He was, and then let's not forget Pruitt Taylor Vince. Yeah. Again, one of those other character actors who just doesn't get the credit.
Brian James is dead.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did die. He did die. He did.
Yep, he did done die.
He did done die.
He did done be. By the way, Red Heat,
one,
Arnold Schwarzenegger holding the pistol.
The number one movie that came out this year, I can get you all to guess with just one line.
Yeah.
If we can get some gristle down him, do you think you throw in some hats for the kids?
I didn't know that came out that summer.
Great Outdoors, June 17th.
I saw that at the theater too. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
And I watched it a few years ago, and I know it's not Shakespeare.
I watched it with my kids,
but I think it's hilarious. I think it still holds up.
Yeah, no, that my kids loved it. That entire thing with the bear, all of that stuff.
Yeah. No,
I always forget Annette Bening is in that movie.
Yeah, she's the wife, Dan Aykroyd's wife, right?
Yeah. The loud, obnoxious one. Yeah, Great Outdoors. I didn't know it was a hit. I thought it kind of bombed.
I mean, $41 million. It wasn't.
I mean, but I mean, it's a fairly decent sized movie. So I just love The Great Outdoors. I've got a fond place for it. I know it's dumb as a box of rocks, but I like it.
You know what didn't help it though was it came out on June 17th, and then they did another midweek release on the next Wednesday, which somehow gobbled up all the box office that The Great Outdoors probably would have got more of, because Who Framed Roger Rabbit drops
there you go
June 22nd.
As much as I hate that it took away Great Outdoors profit margin, one of my favorite movies of all time.
You know who probably hates it more than you, it taking away all the profit margin, Chad? You know who probably hates it a lot more than you? The movie that was released on June 24th, Chad, 2 days after Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out. Because see, on that Friday, Chad, they released a movie that was supposed to be somewhat modestly successful. I'm referring to Dudes.
Oh God,
Dude,
John Cryer.
I don't think I've ever actually seen it. I've only ever seen the posters and scenes from it.
You've never. It's also got what's his name? Dudes has a
Flea.
No, not Flea. But it does have Flea. Daniel Roebuck.
Daniel Roebuck, watch out, James. Whom I've met and is a very nice guy and works with Rob Zombie. He's going to be in the new Monsters. He's playing Grandpa Monster.
Yeah,
he's a good character actor, by the way. He's in another movie that we've talked about on here that no one ever remembers called Disorganized Crime that we like.
Yes, yeah.
That's completely lost.
If you've never seen Dudes, let me give you the subject and how.
Please do.
This would have never this movie never really stood a shot, especially not against Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Because remember, this is supposed to be a lighthearted comedy. Here's the synopsis.
I love how we skipped Roger Rabbit to talk about Dudes.
We've talked about it before.
In defense, I think people know Roger Rabbit.
And we have to, and in defense of that, we have talked about Roger Rabbit ad nauseum. And how much
I think you've talked about Bill Murray, the whole 9 yards. I think we've pretty much covered most of it.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen this, go back and watch our catalog, folks. You'll get caught up.
Yeah, no. Here's Rabbit.
Here's the storyline for Dudes. And again, lighthearted comedy, folks. 2 punks from the big city traveling across the country in a Volkswagen Bug embrace the Western ethos when they must take revenge against a group of rednecks for killing their friend. Dudes.
And the death is pretty brutal, by the way. Yeah.
Catherine Mary Stewart's in it, Lee Ving, Flea, Daniel Roebuck, and John Cryer. Yes, TV's John Cryer. Lex Luthor, John Cryer. Would only go on to make $60,000 because it came out the Friday after.
In all fairness, it really didn't stand that much of a chance. It's not that great of a film.
But here's what I didn't know, and moving us forward, coming out a week after is a movie that does stand up and actually does really well against Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Same to a very different audience, though. Coming to America, June 29th.
Oh, I didn't realize it came out. Yeah,
they were really stockpiling that summer.
Don't worry. We're going to get to July, and you know how now in movie theaters, July's a big month.
Hold on, is this the 1st of July? Okay,
this is where you're going to break it.
This is where. Okay, so folks, this is going to be the end of part 1. Tune in next week for the beginning of part 2, where we talk about July in 1988,
and only July, and then we'll do part
3.
3 will be
parts.
August.
Yeah.
No. We'll do all of next. But I want to say, it is true that July is not a huge month at the box office for 1988. Though there are some movies that we're going to talk about that you're going to be like, oh yeah, July 1988. So anyway, we'll pick up from there.
Now, thanks guys. Tune in to Bonehead.